And after you get the unredacted flight logs, let's say you do, can you lay out a timeline for us? What exactly does that look like?
What we would like to do after we get these flight logs and have an idea of who all is involved in this, then it would be a matter of structuring hearings, subpoenaing individuals and structuring hearings so we can gather the information and find out who their associates and affiliates are. The human trafficking, sex trafficking rings are global enterprises. We know the cartels are involved in this. What we need to do is begin to break these apart so that these sex trafficking rings, human trafficking rings, are not able to operate on U.S. soil.
And how exactly do you break them apart once you get this evidence?
Enforcement of the law and putting in place penalties and enforcements.
And you've been at the forefront of this conversation for a long time, calling for the release of these documents, of these flight logs. What do you think's missing from the national conversation?
Awareness is something that we keep trying to build. And of course, January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. So the more information that we can make certain that Tennesseans have, that other of our citizens have, the awareness of what is happening, how these rings are operating. It has been so surprising to so many people that I've talked with that there are so many sex trafficking and human trafficking rings. When you look at the growth in calls that are going into different law enforcement agencies for help. In Tennessee alone, in 2019, I think we had 60 calls. In 2021, 600. And last year, 700 calls for help that went in because of this explosion of human trafficking and sex trafficking that's taking place.
That's a huge amount of a huge addition of calls. What do you think the cause is for this to be growing exponentially like that?
There are a couple of things that we see happening. First of all, we know that many teenagers are meeting pedophiles in the virtual space, and the grooming will start in the virtual space. And so you have these rings that are recruiting girls, grooming girls, and then pulling them, girls and boys, I will say, and then pulling them in to their orbit, and then pushing them into the human trafficking, sex trafficking business. TBI uses a stat that they've shared with us, and it is every 2 minutes a child is bought or sold for sex in this country. That is an astounding statistic. And people are using the virtual space because they have anonymity up to a point. That's why you've seen such an explosion in trafficking, in child sexual abuse material. And of course, we've had legislation that is moving forward. My Report Act recently passed. We have the CSAM bill that would deal with this child sexual abuse. We have the Earn It Act, different components that will tighten up the rules and regulations and help law enforcement track down these traffickers.